All right. As always, the saying to start the Sinister Six. Enough bullshit. Let's get real, son. It is the Sinister Six podcast. Well, not the Sinister Six podcast, the Educated Ignorance podcast, the Sinister Six episode. And is that a wild Tanner Rowe on the loose? Is the band back together at 8:30 at night on a Wednesday? We paid him a lot of money to get on here. But baby, we are here. My friend, I missed you so much. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fantastic. It's always great to get back in the booth with you.
Isn't it weird that, like, what if you told like high school us that we would do a gambling podcast episode together? We would like, how would we react to that?
I don't know. I didn't even know how to gamble until like 2 years ago. So I would be like, what even is a spread? Pretty much, if you ask me.
Why are they getting 21.5 points, Dad?
Right.
Yeah. Why are you mad? They're winning by so much.
But now I'm, you know how it is.
We're locked in.
10 toes down.
We're locked in. All right. So, obviously, all of you know what the Sinister Six is. Obviously, a lot of you that are watching this know what this group is. This is the old school band. Mac, unfortunately, not here again this week. It's been a rough couple weeks for Mac. He's been busy. He's been busy knocking doors. He's been busy. Now he's sick. He's got like bronchitis. He's got like bottom shelf bronchitis or something. I don't know what's going on. But Tanner is here, the greatest bullpen arm in the history of bullpen arms. And Tanner, you're coming in. There's some pressure on you because not only are you here live, the first live Educated Ignorance pod on Facebook, legitimate live. We've done live before, but like this is nut cutting time. We're hot. 3 straight 4 in 2 weeks. And we've each got 6 picks. I've kind of got 5 right now, and you're going to help me with my 6th one, but we'll get there. And Mac has his 6. We'll read his card off as well. Real quick, before we gauge Tanner's vibes coming into this, those that are you watching, we are currently live on my Facebook profile, the For Frequency's Sake, YouTube, as well as Twitter. Leave comments, questions, anything. Leave your own favorite picks for the weekend ahead, college football and NFL. We'll read them on the show, all that good stuff. Hope we get some good live interaction out there, or just say hi. Why not? We appreciate it. So, Tanner, do you feel any extra pressure? Because after a bit of a rough start, which granted, I know you listen to some gambling pods and stuff like that. I feel like everyone, especially NFL, has been just average. So it didn't make me feel bad that we were average. But 3 straight 4 in 2 weeks, I feel like we're hitting a stride. Do you feel nervous? Do you feel like you have to keep up with the production?
A little bit. I mean, I've been pretty hot on college this year. NFL, I'd say I'm right around 500. So there's a little bit of pressure. Like I told you the other day, I'll come on here and I'll probably never hit another bet again in my life. So we'll see what happens.
What if you just get immaculately hot, though? What if you just catch... Yeah, but here's the thing. So here is where this is the extent of Tanner's like gambling. Like football stuff, sometimes we chop up things, but NBA season, like when we get into the spring, there's some college stuff me and him will go back and forth with. But this dude is the GOAT on like playoff NBA parlays. Let me tell you, I don't know how you ended last year, but I know in 2021, like you were the king.
Yeah, I definitely got off to a hot start to begin my gambling career. I feel like that's how it always works. So they reel you in like that. So I don't know. There's just I feel like a certain time of year for me. Baseball season starts. It's kind of like the off season.
So it's like last week I was watching some football shows and they were talking about how it's big gun season down south for hunting. So when it gets to big gun season, that's when you get hot. When it's not, you're just like, we're chilling. The weather's not right for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's all right. We're going to have some fun regardless. All right, let's get into it. We will start with college. I think Mac and I are both a 3 and 3. Tanner, those got 4 college because, hey, why not? The more the merrier. Let's look at the biggest games of the week. You've got UCLA, USC. I would say that's the biggest. I know I've got one on that. We'll get to that in a moment. So any of the bigger games of the weekend, ranked wise, that you've got, anything that you want to touch on for some picks? We'll go to you to open up the board.
I think the biggest one on my board is, and I might have maybe shied away from the bigger matchups, but the biggest one I got is TCU and Baylor. I took TCU -2.5. I just think that Baylor's been so hit or miss this year. TCU, every week, everybody, it seems like, is expecting them to fall off, and
Yep.
they just continue to keep on rolling. I don't see why they can't do it here. It was one of their 4 wins last year was against a top 5 Baylor team, big rivalry game. So I think the Frogs keep on rolling in this one, -2.5.
So Mac is on that as well. He's on the over 57.5. I think the over is an interesting play because if there is a defense in the Big 12 that is going to stifle certain things, and TCU's offense hasn't been great lately, it would maybe be this game. Here's the thing. Even though the game was ugly, I'm sure you've heard me talk about how I think TCU is kind of fraudulent, but I'm more impressed with how they beat Texas than any other win they've had all year. The fact that they were able to pretty much say, we are going to force you to do one thing. We're going to take away your best thing. And for a defense that hasn't been good, to be able to do that, to limit Bijan to what they did and really make viewers just not look comfortable, that was the most impressive win for me that I think TCU has had all year. It is right. It feels like they've been living on the danger zone. Only 2.5. Here's the thing, though. I mean, like Baylor last week was favorites against Kansas State, and Kansas State rolled them.
Yeah, they look terrible. And the TCU defense, like you said, they're starting to step up a little bit here when they've needed it the most. So I just think that they're big, they're physical, and I think they're going to continue to roll and maybe go all the way to the playoff with it.
They could. Do you believe that they have to go undefeated to get in? It feels like that, right?
At this point, yeah, I think so.
Because the way it's going to play out, you can't lose the Big 12 title game and get in. I think people that believe Tennessee, which we're going to get to them in a moment, spoiler alert, I think people that believe Tennessee can win out and then get in over a one-loss ACC champ or a one-loss Pac-12 champ, which would only be USC if that happens. Like, I think they're kind of crazy because I think once the conference championship gets added to some of these teams, that'll boost them over a team that doesn't even play for one. Right. So, yeah, I'm with you. TCU will have to go. All right, let's move on. I'm going to go. So since, the old saying, life is too short to bet the under, this is the only under I have. I don't know if you have any unders. There's a couple overs Mac has. We just mentioned one. So you're on TCU -2.5. Mac is joining the party in that game as well with the over 57.5 on that one. I'm going to go under Georgia, Kentucky, 49.5 on Saturday. Here's my reasoning. You look at last year when Kentucky was actually kind of bolstered up. They scored early, but outside of that, the only other score they had, they were driving in garbage time, and Georgia held them out of the end zone. I don't think Georgia's offense is going to do enough. Like Tennessee put up 44 on them, but I don't think Georgia has the offense to do that against Kentucky, whose defense is solid. Will there be an inspiring effort from Kentucky? It makes me scared to take their team total under, which was only 13.5, as well as the spread, which is 16.5, or no, it's 22.5. You would hope that they have some sort of rallied effort when they've looked terrible, and they just lost to Vanderbilt. Shout out to the Doors. But yeah, under 49.5. I feel like that, I think that you got to feel like that can get home. 34-10 gets you there. 35-14 gets you there. If you go anything over that, then you're a little screwed. But I don't think Georgia's going to score enough to where you feel like Kentucky will do enough to get it over the 50. So that's why we feel good about that under 49.5. We cashed an under last week in Ole Miss Bama. It got a little sweaty, but we cashed it. So let's keep the unders rolling.
SEC unders, man, those are that's put you in for a long night there when you're sweating those. There's a reason short to bet the under, man.
Yeah, we did. We cashed a ludicrous over 2 weeks ago with LSU Bama that was 9-7 with 4 minutes left in the third and the overhit. Shout out to overtime. Imagine having an under ticket on that. I bet that hit bad beats.
Heartbreaking.
Could you imagine? So, yeah, I feel good about this one. I feel much better. I wanted to take Kentucky's team total, but I've gone for team totals the last 2 weeks for lower numbers, and I got killed. Like, there were no chance. So I'm going to stay away from that this week. We're going to go under. Let's go to another one for Mac. Another over. Let's get back on the over train. North Carolina, Georgia Tech. He's got over 62.5. And I feel like that's a good play because Georgia Tech is very frisky, but any game with North Carolina, if you can get an under in the North Carolina game where their defense will give up some points and that offense is probably going to hit at least 35, feel good about it. 62.5. It's a little high, but I think that's still probably a good number. So some over-under stuff cash in. We will look back to Mr. Rowe. What's next on your board, partner?
So, I'm still new in the game here. I pretty much took all lines. So my next I got here
for what it's worth, no more over-unders here. I wanted to get all those out of the way early. I didn't know if you had any props or anything. I know sometimes that's more your thing. Mac last week had a couple props. He had a J.J. McCarthy prop that cashed, so good on him. I stay away from player stuff. The only times I ever go is I try to sometimes, if I feel good about an over-under, that's like the only time I'll ever throw it on there, but it's a rarity. You know what I'm saying? It's a rarity.
Just getting my feet wet this week, so next week I might come with some curve balls, some gyro balls.
Shout out to Dice K.
So my next one I got here is Kansas plus 9.5 versus Texas. I just think that Texas, they played in a lot of close games this year, 6-1 score games. It seems like they always play to the level of their opponent, not really blowing a lot of teams out of the water. So I think Kansas plus the 9.5 is just a little bit too much at home. If you remember last year, that was kind of a signature win for that Kansas program. They went to Texas in out overtime, won that game. I believe it was like 57-56, something like that, overtime shootout. So I think this comes out back this week, and I think they'll cover the 9.5 at home.
Yeah, I do think Daniels is coming back. That could be an issue. The 9.5, it does feel like it's a lot. Texas hasn't played great on the road. The only thing that you would worry about is like the bounce back resurgence game from them. But I mean, the last college thing that Mac has on his card is Kansas plus 9.5. So you guys both love it. So lock that up. A little agreement there. Kansas catching 9.5. It's a really good number. Hopefully, if for you guys, it can move up by Saturday to 10. That'd be great. We get some line movement generation. But yeah, 9.5. I think that's probably the right side. It's just the way Texas has played too weird to lay that many points on the road. But I think Texas should win. But that's a huge backdoor to come through for a Kansas team that's going to be lively. Like they'll know how it. I wouldn't say the game will be more important for Kansas because I think Texas understands, they can still play in a pretty good bowl game and the overall improvement of where they're at. But that game will still be pretty damn important for Kansas.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they started out the year so hot, and now they're still sitting on 6 wins right now as it is. So, I mean, I think they'd want to finish strong here, maybe pick up their 7th or 8th win. Who knows the last time the program was able to do that. And I think they're going to come out fighting against Texas and try to pull off another upset at home.
Shout out to those that are watching and listening and have liked the video. If you got any questions, comments, some spreads of your own that you like, throw those in the comment section. We'll show them and read them here on the air. Okay, I'll go to the board now. So far, we've talked about over-unders and getting points. Tanner, we're about to lay a shit ton.
All right.
A metric unit of points. We're going to South Carolina, where the Tennessee Vols, who need to wine and dine their way to impress. Right now, they got to pull out all the stops. It is prom night. with someone way out of their league, and they've got like their dad's car, which is like a Lambo. They're wearing ridiculously expensive J's. They're wearing this ridiculous tux because they know they got to do everything they can to impress the pretty girl. Last week, Tennessee was calling timeouts up like 59 to 24 to score an extra touchdown to get to 66. That is where we feel this number is on our side. We are going to lay the 21.5 because Tennessee is trying to impress the hot chick to go with him to the high school prom. Tennessee minus 21.5. They got a style and profile if they want to get in the playoff, Tanner.
Yeah,
it's bold, but I have a good after knowing what they did last week in a game that was tight. It was 35 to 24 in the third quarter, and then they went supernova. They scored 31 points in the final quarter and a half, and again they were calling timeouts to try to keep scoring at the end of the game. Tennessee laying the number. It's a huge ass number against a team that has a pulse. Like we laid a huge number with Ohio State against Iowa this year. That we laid the 28, and we felt good about it. I feel good about this, even though South Carolina is a team with a pulse that has some solid wins and it's on the road. But just knowing how Tennessee is going to try to operate, if they've already got like a 2-3 score lead, they're going to keep trying to push to just blow teams out with a ridiculous spread. That's why I feel good about this number.
Yeah, for sure. That's one that South Carolina, you could see them hanging around there for a little bit, but with this Tennessee offense, it just could be a matter of minutes before they blow the thing wide open, and it's hard for teams to keep up with that for 4 straight quarters.
They're good.
I like that.
As much as we've been saying, at least I have, that they probably don't deserve to get into the playoff. Like, you do have to give tip of the cap that they've had a really good year and a really impressive stretch. Obviously, the stock has dropped on them since the Georgia game, but you still have to give it up. If they were a 12-team, if this was the 12-team expanded playoff, they'd be one of the favorites. Like, it'd be Georgia. They'd be one of the 3 or 4 favorites because they will, if you can if they played, they can beat probably anyone in the country outside of Georgia. Because I think Georgia's style, they're so fast that Tennessee just doesn't have the oomph to get them. And with outside of that, though, I think they can beat a lot of teams. It's just
no doubt.
When you can only take 4, you have to take the right 4, and I don't think they'd be deserving unless like everyone in front of them lost between now and Selection Sunday. That makes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're definitely a fun team to watch, and if they were able to sneak in there, there's no reason why they couldn't put up some insane numbers and sneak out of there with the national title. But I just don't know. It'd be a pretty big uphill battle at this point. And like you said, the matchup against Georgia they'd have to play a perfect game. So
yeah, and they didn't play a perfect game against Bama, but they didn't have to because Bama's defense is just their offense is such a mismatch for Bama's defense, who's just ridiculously slow in the back 7. Like Ole Miss had a chance to run away with that game, but they have no passing attack.
Yeah,
on Saturday. All right, next on the board, you got 2 more college games, so I'll let you take this next one.
Okay. So this next one, I don't know. Maybe I should have stayed away from it for biasy reasons, but I'm going to take Michigan with the minus 17.5 against Illinois this Saturday.
You're going to lay them?
Yeah, I'm taking the 17.5 with Michigan.
Okay, real quick, let me ask you: you don't think is this because Chase Brown is probably not playing? Is this a Illinois continuing to regress kind of to the means, or is this just you don't feel like this could be a resurgence, bounce back, keep it close type of game, or is it a Michigan's too good thing? What are the vibes on this? Because I thought you might have taken Illinois in the points. I don't hate laying them. It's a weird spot considering where we are at after where we were a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no doubt. It's just the thing is Taz Nicholson out for the year, wrist injury. I don't know if you heard about that. They said that he was playing through it. He didn't tell anybody that he dislocated it. Ended up, the doctor found out on the sideline, and a guy came down from the stands and performed surgery on his wrist during the game. So Taz Nicholson out for the year. The biggest worry about this team was their depth, especially in the secondary. They're starting to get a little bit banged up back there. J.J. McCarthy, another corner, he's going to be questionable with a concussion. Pat Bryant, their deep option, he's probably going to be out again as well. So I just think that Illinois is coming in pretty banged up, and like I said, their biggest weakness this year was definitely depth. So I just don't know if they can go into the big house with the way they've played the last 2 weeks and cover the 17.5.
You were there Saturday.
Yes,
against Purdue.
was
very depressing. We're both pretty sad about it. Obviously, the game was kind of shifted on some calls. With the way, do you feel like the normal, the regular, the casual? I don't. You know me. I'm not one to call out casuals. You know me. Do you feel like they aren't going to understand how successful this year is? Because they'll beat Northwestern, barring some like gravitational, like if the entire start O line gets kidnapped, and like Bielema gets, like they tell him the game's at the wrong location. Hi, DJ. DJ said, it's Tanner. Hi, DJ. He misses you. Do you feel like how do you explain to the casual, just because they lost 3 in a row here, they'll beat Northwestern, they still have a weird way where they can get to Indy to get wrecked by either Michigan again or Ohio State. And then they'll play in a pretty damn good bowl game. They're gonna.
Yeah.
How do you convince the casual like it's okay?
I mean, I just think you got to look at it as if you came into the year telling me that they could potentially go 8-4, go to a bowl game. I mean, you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. You have no idea what's going to happen in the bowl game, obviously. But if you can beat Northwestern, win that 8th game, you go 8-4, and then a coin flip in a bowl game, you would take that every day of the week, in my opinion, as an Illinois fan, considering what we've came from and where we are now. Like I said, this team isn't very deep, so they have gotten banged up a little bit here over the past few weeks, and you kind of had to expect it in a physical Big Ten West. I mean, that is one thing. I know that people like to knock on it, but they are physical, and Illinois has taken their wounds. So I think that you bounce back, you get a little deeper. This incoming class is better than the last, and you got to think they're going to keep building off of that. So I just think that 8-4, of course, getting through the 4 losses is never easy. You don't want to lose those games, but you'll take it all day as an Illinois fan. And a lot of people said when they hired Bielema, if we win 6 to 8 games over the next 10 years, it'll be the greatest era of Illinois football. So we're right in that wheelhouse this year already.
Yeah, you got to understand where you were, right? 5-7 last year, and like you're 2 or 3 scores away from being 7-5 a year ago. This year, now they're what, 7-3, 8-3, or 7-3,
7-3,
and they've had one. Like honestly, they've had one horrific moment all year, and it was that stupid last drive against Indiana. If they win that, they were undefeated before these last 2 weeks. And yeah, maybe it makes the last 2 weeks a little harder to swallow, but they would have, that's the game. I don't look at the Michigan State game or the Purdue game as what cost them the West. I hate to say it because you and I, we've been talking about it all year since it happened. Because you and I were like the way they were playing, like they could be better than people thought. I don't think we really believed it probably until when they wrecked Wisconsin in the second half. That's when we really felt like, oh shit, like there's something here. But that last drive on defense against Indiana, that's what cost them the West, I think, not the last 2 games, because they were due. Like the Michigan State game, I wasn't tripping about. I thought it would be the Purdue game. I thought they'd beat Michigan State. I was worried more about the Purdue game than Michigan State, but you just felt like the Nebraska game. Nebraska was moving the ball. I felt like that was the one they were going to lose on the road against Nebraska. And then Casey Thompson got hurt, and then Nebraska couldn't move the ball again. Then after that, I was like, all right, they're going to lose one of these games for Michigan. I just didn't know which one. They happened to lose them both. So so when I look at it, when you just look at like where the West was lost, would you agree? It's the Indiana. It's that one drive where they just let Indiana come down the field and have a shot. not the last two games, because I think the last two games they were inevitably going to have a bad one. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, Purdue and Michigan State, they both came in there and they were just more physical, and that's going to happen sometimes. So I think that the Indiana thing too. I don't want to be that guy, but the touchdown as well was taken off the board. So you're looking at an 8-win season if things go your way at Indiana, and I think people are feeling a lot better. But unfortunately, this weekend, with what I've seen the last 2 weeks, not really getting a lot of pressure up front, and that's something you would really like to see against a quarterback like McCarthy, who you would like to make beat you. But I think with the whole Chase Brown and Blake Corum debate that's been going on all year, I just feel like Michigan wants to come out and really punch Illinois in the mouth on the ground.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to have the dogs to hold Michigan, and
No.
Michigan's going to want to continue to collect style points.
Right, and that's kind of the thing too with when you're Illinois and you're doing more with less almost, and you're going to go play a bunch of 4 and 5 star guys. I mean, it's just tough to hang in those types of situations. But I think if you give the program a few more years, they'll be able to go into a game like this and feel a lot more confident, and probably not see such a big number like 17.5.
Exactly. We are laying them though. I put plus, if only. We're going to put the minus there on the little card. All right, so we've each got one more college game. Then we'll have 3, 6, 7, 8 NFL games. Let me get my last college game out of the way. And listen, it's the battle for LA, baby. I've been feeling this one, and as much as I love SC and what they've been doing, I'm interested to know what would have happened if UCLA would have beat Arizona on Saturday, because I felt like the line would shift from it. UCLA's catching 2.5. And I was prepared to come into this week thinking, yeah, I'm going to take UCLA. Like, no matter what, we're getting points. They're at home. Not that it matters. Rose Bowl will be sold out. That place is going to be jumping. I don't think there's been a bigger UCLA USC game in my life, like in our life. Like, that's going to just be so cool to watch. That game means something. You know what I mean? And I know USC is going to be around for a while. Hopefully UCLA can be around even when they lose. Like, this senior class is great what they've got with Chip. Hopefully they can continue to recruit well, especially when both those teams are in the Big Ten. Like, that game's going to mean even more on a higher level with how good those two teams are going to be for the next decade. I'm going to take UCLA in the points. I think their style I know USC just blew the doors off Colorado, but they might be the worst Power 5 team in the country. The style UCLA is going to run, they're going to be pissed after losing that Arizona game. Charbonnet, the Michigan transfer at running back, he could have a big day. The one thing that would worry me is Caleb Williams, who, yes, is awesome, could run around. Like, Delora for Arizona had a bunch of cheap, dumb runs and like some hero ball, like prime Johnny Manziel stuff in that game on Saturday against the Bruins. Like, could Caleb Williams just drag the Trojans to that? Yes, he could. But I'm gonna just stick to how this is my gut. This is what I've been feeling for weeks. And the fact that we're getting points makes it even better. So UCLA plus 2.5 at home against the Trojans. I can't wait. That game's going to be awesome to watch. And we're going to just, like I said, stick with the vibe we've been feeling for a while. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like it. I think LA is going to be jumping on Saturday night. And if you look at it, Arizona gave USC a run for their money too. It came down to the final minute in that fourth quarter. They had to convert a fourth and short there to put that game on ice. So it's not like Arizona really was a lay down opponent for USC at all. So I think that these two teams will match up pretty well, and it's going to be a fun one. I like UCLA as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, you got one more college game on the card, and then we can start talking about some pro games. What do you got?
Yeah, so this is kind of a fun one. I never thought I would pick, especially not on this kind of platform between these two teams. But I'm going to go with the Yukon Huskies. They're getting 10.5 against Army. I mean, come on, man. What that, that line stinks.
10.5.
Army's 3-6. UConn's rolling. I think they're 5-1 in their last 6. They got housed by NC State and Michigan, but of course.
Yeah.
they've been rolling ever since. It's not like Army's any tough opponent. It's at Army, but 10 with the hook. Give it to me all day long.
I love it. We have gone full Bud Elliott. Someone play Sicko Mode by Travis Scott. We are bouncing in the house. Like is that game in is that Army or is it in that Army? Damn.
Yeah.
I've wanted to make the nickname for where UConn plays is the Rent, and the joke last week was like Liberty they had to go pay the rent and they couldn't afford it, so they got evicted when UConn beat them last week. Mac took Liberty and laid the points, and UConn won outright. Mac Fulton, how do you feel? Jim Moore, we're taking 10 in the hook with Jim Moore Jr. Tanner, you savage.
When I saw that, like I told you earlier, I was going to go 3 NFL and 3 college, but when I saw that, man, come on. That's like layup line.
That is. Like, that's the juice.
Of course, that'll be the one that doesn't hit, but I love it.
You'll go 5-1, and that's the one. Army's going to kill him. What's the I don't know if you're on like FD or DK or something, but I wonder what the over-under is because that under might be nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I should have checked that out.
Service Academy unders, baby. I cannot wait to officially put the under in the Army-Navy game in 2 weeks on the card.
Cash it right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get Christmas gifts for our significant others on the Army Navy under. Tanner? 10.5 with UConn. I'm so proud of you. That's my favorite one. We could end the show off that. We just took the UConn Huskies in football. Plus 10.5. Okay. I need to catch my breath. So far, on the cards, I have Georgia and Kentucky under 49.5. I have the Vols laying 21.5 against South Carolina, and UCLA plus 2.5. Mac has Kansas plus 9.5. UNC Georgia Tech over 62.5, and TCU Baylor over 57.5. And Tanner has 4 college plays: TCU minus 2.5, Kansas plus 9.5, Michigan minus 17.5, and UConn, the goddamn Huskies,
fighting Jim Moore Juniors.
Let's go plus 10.5 against. I don't know though. You're taking you. Here's where you might get bit, man. You're going against America. You're going against you are betting against the men and women of our armed forces.
It is a tough look, but man, those Huskies, they're going bowling.
They are. This would lock it up. Apparently, there's a weird way that, like, if a bunch of teams go 6-6, they wouldn't make the cut if someone didn't make the cut. But get to 7-5.
Oh,
let's get it.
I'd take them outright.
Oh man, I bet that money line's nice too. Some sprinkles, a little sprinkle action, a little Salt Bay.
Yeah.
All right, NFL time. Let's get it rolling. Here's the Sicko Mode NFL play of the week. Mac Fulton is going to New Orleans. He's flashing for some beads at Mardi Gras, and he says, he said the LA Rams might be the poo-poo platter, but he is going to ride the Dennis Allen train, and he is taking the Rams plus 4.5 against the Saints. Mac Fulton, I'm praying for you.
Man, that's a bold pick there. I wouldn't even touch that game.
I've said this for like the last month. Anytime you bet a Rams game, like, you should go to Gamblers Anonymous. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe this. I've lived on the fade Dennis Allen mantra this year, and it's paid off more times than not. I should have this week. I heard a great stat, like when it was the Steelers going to against play the Saints, like something about Tomlin after a bye has covered 83% of the time. But I heard it like a day after the show. If I would have heard that on Wednesday and then I did the show last Thursday, the Steelers would have absolutely made the show.
Right.
But they didn't, and I was pissed. They made the live show on Sunday, but regardless. All right. So yeah, Mac with his Sicko Mode play of the week. Rams at Saints. He is taking Captain Waldrip or whatever his name is, and the points.
No Cooper.
No Cooper Cup. Ballsy. It's the Saints, though. They're bad.
The A-Rob coming out party?
Maybe. Someone, right? Someone has to do something. Maybe. What about Tutu Atwell?
I don't know, man.
Cam Akers, is he still on the active roster?
I think he got some touches last week.
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Okay. Huh?
Kid from Notre Dame, the running back. Got a couple touches last week, too.
Oh, Kyron Williams?
Williams, yeah.
Good on him. All right, I got one here. So I've got 3 NFL ones, but I'm stuck on the third because low-key, I told Mac this. One of them he took that I wanted, and I took it off the card when he told me he wanted it. Not because I'm fading Mac, because Mac had a good week last week, but I don't want to let a certain person ruin my weekend, so we're going to stay away. Which some of my stayaways have paid off. But this one I feel good about. We stayed away smartly last week. Vindication was the theme of the week, because not only did we go 4-2, but we stayed away from certain games, and we felt vindicated that we did. We thought about doing some stuff with the Eagles. Like, we wanted to lay the first half number. It was only like 5 or 6. We wanted to do some stuff like that. We didn't. Smart. Vindication.
Yes.
The biggest one of the week was I really wanted to fade the Colts with Jeff Saturday, but they were playing the Raiders, so it made it hard. And we were vindicated because the Raiders are trash. Uh-oh, we lost Tanner. But the Philadelphia Eagles are going to Indianapolis. Now, yes, I know. Hold on 1 second. Let's try to get Tanner back. Hopefully he's alive. Did Tanner die? Did his phone die? That'd be weird. I know the Colts are going to be riding, Space Mountain to get, with what they've had. The Eagles, let's see, Tanner came back. I don't see him. There he is. Hello.
I have no idea what happened.
He's alive. Okay. So, you good there, bud? I was like, did you just get napalm?
I think I hit the volume and then it just exited.
Well, here we are.
Sorry,
okay. So anyway, I was saying, we were vindicated on the Raiders because we wanted to take the Raiders, but it was like so many points, like, we'll stay away. But then, like, when I did the show, like after the show, I hear 2 people that I listen to a lot, like Nick Wright and Bill Simmons, talk about how they faded the Colts because it was a bet against the Colts. I was like, shit, we missed out. But then they won. I was like, thank God, vindication. By the way, shout out to Blake. Blake Saturday when we were here all drinking and partying and watching the fights, he was like, I don't know, man, watch the Colts. He felt it. Vibes. I was like, all right, good luck. And hey, good on him. But we're going to – the vibes die this week, Tanner. It is the Eagles bounce back. It is a gross number on the road. But we are laying 6.5. The line has moved so much in our favor. It was 9.5 Sunday.
Yeah.
Monday morning, even after the Colts won, it was like 8. And then Tuesday, it was 6.5. And it's like, yes, sir, we're rolling. 6.5 on the road. I get it. But the Eagles are going to be due a bounce back game. The only thing I feel bad about is with no Jordan Davis, they've struggled against the run. It's the one thing I will give Jeff Saturday credit. He went in there and realized, hey, Matt Ryan's the better quarterback, and why aren't we giving the ball to that dude who won the rushing title by a landslide last year? So Jeff Saturday, smart guy, apparently. That's the only thing that worries me. But I don't think the Colts defense has enough to stop Philly. Philly's going to not – Philly, I know we've talked about some of their metrics weren't sustainable, but they're not going to only have the ball for 20 minutes again. They're not going to lose the turnover battle 3-0 like they did against Washington. I think they get back into a groove to prove a point. We'll lay the 6.5, feel good about it. Eagles win and comfortably.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's not time to write Philly off yet by any means. And, I mean, and you got to look at this perspective, too. Las Vegas is an absolute shit show. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get from them every week. They put Hunter Renfro on IR. They put Darren Waller on IR. They got rid of Abraham. So I mean that place is just an absolute mess. And I think Jeff Saturday came in and he tweeted it out a week before the game that Raiders looked like trash. So he almost called his shot there.
Frank Reich knew, or Irsay knew. He's like, this guy, I need him.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think that the Colts, that might have been a one-off last week.
Timeout.
Taylor did look healthy.
You know what galaxy brain moment I just had?
What?
Bro, Irsay, obviously, the owner of the Colts. Ballard as GM. I think Ballard's going to get tossed like into the trash. Ballard's a dope. People keep defending him. He sucks at his job. But Irsay is a vindictive man. Remember who left the Colts at the altar 4 years ago?
Oh, yeah. Josh McDaniels.
And the game that might have just got Josh McDaniels fired?
Yeah.
I just thought of that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, keep the brakes off of them.
Hell yeah. Yes. Oh, that's great.
Colts coach.
I can't believe for like a week. I can't believe I just thought of that. Oh.
Yeah, that's wild.
Why did no one mention that all weekend? Oh, that's hilarious. That's so full circle. My heart just grew 10 times. Okay, what do you got?
They calculated that for sure.
They had to, like, hey, this is for my guy. Saturday went into there. He's like, most of y'all are still in here from the last 4 years. That coach on that sideline, he said he didn't want to be with y'all. Let's fuck him up. And then they did.
Yeah.
Hilarious. All right, your turn. What do you? I can't believe I just thought of that. All right, what do you got?
So my first NFL one, I'm gonna take the Cowboys -1.5 at Minnesota.
Oh, it's a bar fight.
These guys played the polar opposite roles last week. I mean, Minnesota has the fourth quarter comeback. Dallas has the fourth quarter collapse. Both games go to overtime. One team wins, the other team loses. I think that Minnesota's just played in too many of these games this year, and they've gotten away with it all year pretty much outside of the Philadelphia game. And I think that maybe it catches up to them this week, and Dallas comes in there with a bounce-back win. I mean, Dallas has just always struggled, I think, against Green Bay. For whatever reason, Aaron Rodgers has kind of had their number. So I think they'll go into Minnesota this weekend looking for a little revenge against the NFC North.
God damn it.
You don't like it?
Yeah, no, because Mac and I both have the Vikings. Shit.
That's fine.
So, okay, here's man, you made so many good points. Fuck. Okay, let me that's good. Let me have I guess the counter to where I don't know what Mac's exact reasoning is, but Mac and I both have Minnesota +1.5. I guess the reason that I am feeling that I think Minnesota in the points is probably the right side. Just this is like a base, do the numbers thing. And at the beginning of the year, I really wasn't like that. But as the season has gone on, I've kind of tried. The thing I've been trying to learn more and more as I get better at this, you know what I mean? Which I feel like I have compared to where I was at the beginning of the year. I kind of understand, especially the NFL game, because college game, like the spreads are just so ridiculous. It's hard to. Yeah. You really have to be like, okay, what do I love the most just off of a vibe / a matchups types thing. In the NFL, a lot of it is you got to play the numbers. And the reason, my biggest thing with Minnesota, because you make a great point. They're winning all these close games. It's not sustainable. It is just not sustainable.
No, you're going to get caught one of these times.
Like, look at, again, we just talked about, but look at the Raiders last year. They won 7-1 in games decided by a score or less. This year, all their losses are by a score. Like I said that in the over-unders pod at the beginning of the year, like Cincinnati and Oakland, I hit their under both off of like numerical regression. You know, that shit's not sustainable. Look how many one-score games the Bengals won last year.
Yeah.
That's just stuff. It's stuff that is not, it's not sustainable. So I am with you on that.
2 weeks in a row for Minnesota. They should have lost to Washington, and they probably should have lost to Buffalo too, but they just pull something out of their ass, and And good teams do that. They find a way, and a lot of great teams win a lot of close ball games, but eventually you're just gonna get got. We've seen it happen to Buffalo this year. We've seen it happen to Philly finally. So eventually you're gonna get got, I think.
And Philadelphia's was more like the turnover thing. The one wildest stat, because even Danny said this to me like a couple weeks ago. We were watching the Eagles. He was like, "So the fact that they get a lot of turnovers is a bad thing." Like, it's not just that; it's like their turnover margin. Because a lot, when you really break it down, turnovers are a luck-based thing with certain stuff, especially if your margin is ridiculous. And the Vikings do fall into that category. I still feel good about this. I think you're on, like, if your points, I understand why you are taking the Cowboys minus the points here. And I think it's a smart side. I think the Viking side, the reason I was saying is I'm playing the number. I feel like both teams are equal. So when you think of that, the home team should be favored by 3 if both teams are equal, or 2.5. I just think the fact that the Vikings are 1.5 point dogs at home. So what would would they be 5.5 point dogs in Dallas? I don't think so. That'd be way too many points, even if it was in Dallas. So I'm playing the number. So I think both of us can make good arguments here of you're taking the Cowboys because you feel like the Vikings have kind of tight-roped the last couple weeks. Now, I will say the Washington game had some weird stuff happen. I mean, Washington was supposed to get the ball back with 2 minutes left, but they committed a dumbass penalty where Minnesota was then able to just milk the last 2 minutes off and win at the gun.
Right.
Now, we'll say this: even though they came back from a crazy deficit, they showed some dog last week in that win. Like, that took some nuts to pull that off, because Kirk made some throws on that last drive. Jefferson made some plays. It shouldn't have even got to the point with the needing the Josh Allen fumble, because Dalvin Cook had a touchdown that he had hit him right in the face when they on the first 4th down that got extended because of an offsides, and then they were able to win an OT. But I do get what you're saying. So yeah, the Vikings play for me is strictly numbers based more than anything, but it's going to be fun. We both got some juice in it.
Yeah,
I love it.
That. I can see that side of it too, for sure. I mean, taking the points at home, a team that's hot right now, and you got to think that place is going to be jumping on Sunday.
They've been jolted back into the 1 seed conversation. I think my over is going to cash if they win this week. I picked them. They were like the team I felt frisky the most about in the over unders pod was Minnesota over 8.5, and I picked them to be the 1 seed, and they're there right now, and I feel good about it. Okay, let's go to Mac's 3rd NFL game, and I wanted this, but I took off of it not because Mac picked it, but I don't want to let Zach Wilson ruin my Sunday. It's the Jets plus 3.5. I just can't, man. Like, I wanted to, but it's not because Mac picked it. And I think Mac, this is the right side. If you're going to bet this game, bet the Jets. Don't trust Mac Jones to lay points. The only way the Jets don't cover, I think, is if Zach Wilson goose it up. And a couple weeks ago when these two teams played, he goofed it up. Now, he played really well. The numbers won't show it, but again, you got to watch more than box score in these games. Wilson's box scores aren't pretty, but he was pretty good against Buffalo with his command, with how he was able to control the game in a weird game that they were able to come back and win. And in this game, I feel like for Mac, this is why I was going to take it. Like, it's the right side just because I think you're getting more than a field goal. Like that half point, right? That half point is going to be the biggest key. What is your take on Jets Patriots? Unless you have that as well, unless you're fading it.
I looked at this one. I can't trust Zach Wilson yet. I think it's a game that the Jets should win. But this is also one of those that kind of goes right into Bill Belichick's wheelhouse, where his defense is going to come out and force Zach Wilson to beat them. And on the other side of things, I think that the Patriots, they're going to have a tough time. That Jets defense is no joke for sure, but I think they could do just enough. It's in Foxborough, right? I think they can do just enough at home to get in this one.
So it's almost perfect. If it was 3, it'd be perfectly priced.
Yeah,
if it was the 3.5 is why you would want to take the Jets. I don't think you lay 3.5 with New England. I do believe, like, here's the thing, in that first game, couple big swings. Jets are up by a score. Mac Jones throws a horrible pick six to Sauce Gardner, but it gets called off the board because of a defensive penalty, which wasn't a good call. But that swung the game. Instead of, I think it would have been 17-6, it stayed 10-6 going into the half, and then Zach Wilson shit himself. He was awful in the second half, had two horrendous picks, and it killed them. I know Belichick is coming off a bye, but here's the thing I like about the Jets. They're coming off the bye too, especially when you consider their last game was the big Bills win. So it's like they don't come into a game week riding the Bills high. I think Saleh and those guys have turned a massive corner to where that is going to be dead and buried behind them now for this game. So I do think that kind of evens it out. All right, what's your last NFL play? And then you're going to help me pick this last NFL one because there's a couple I want, but the damn half point is killing me on some of them. And we'll see. What's your last one here?
The last one I got is the Chiefs minus the 5.5.
Okay.
Against LA.
So this was on my card, but on Monday when I was putting my pre-card together before the week, the lines obviously change here and there throughout the week. Mm-hmm. The line moved 1.5 in the wrong direction. It was Chargers plus 7. And I was like, let's get it. And it moved to 5.5.
Yeah.
So
that, though.
I wanted that. I wanted it. But now that it's not there anymore, tough. Big tough.
Right. Yeah.
So laying the 5.5 though with Kansas City, that's what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, I think the Chargers, they've found a way to hang around this year. They've been pretty much decimated on offense. I mean, they've still gotten production from the running back position with Eckler, and of course Herbert's been Herbert, but they're missing so many guys. It's hard for me to see this Chiefs team come in here that's just so deep and can throw so many things at you. I just see them coming in and easily winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, if there was a side I was going to let go with, I'd almost bite the bullet and just say screw it and take the 5.5. If this line, I don't know if this line moved this way because they think that Allen and Williams could play. That would make me, if Allen and Williams are guaranteed to be in the lineup,
mm-hmm.
then and we know that by the weekend, you might hear me on the Sunday live show when we're not defending our take on why we drafted Pumpkin Pie in the second round of this week. This week is the Thanksgiving dishes draft with all the guys, and we've been going at it. So outside of that, if you might hear me Sunday put the Chargers in here, if it's still at a nice number, like above 5-ish, or who knows, maybe it can get bet back to 6. You might hear the Chargers in the lineup on Sunday if Williams and Allen are in the lineup. But as of right now, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. And maybe it's the only thing I can think of that people are confident, that the line moved that way, right? Like, there's no other reason in my mind why it would move that way. But right. I'm not gonna guess. We don't know. Keenan Allen's been day to day and questionable for a month, for 2 months. Yeah. Okay.
He hasn't been spectacular. I mean, he just hasn't had the chance to get into a groove.
No. That hamstrings are no joke. Mm-hmm. It's why I'm glad Ohio State hasn't tried to put Jackson Smith and Jigba out there.
Yeah.
Let him just kind of sit. They got enough dudes. All right. So obviously we talked about the Jets. We obviously talked about I wanted the Chargers plus the points, but that kind of got taken away from me. Shout out to whoever bet the shit out of the Chargers plus 7. Which, hey, good on you. You're smart. Do we just tail Tanner's UConn pick? I don't know. So here's where I've been at. So Washington winning Monday helped me in a way because it got the Eagles line down to my under 7. So I love that. But I also before the game Monday, Washington was only laying 2 in Houston, and that was going to be nice. But now it's 3.5, so that's a lot, right? Even though Houston's toast, or would that be? What do you think?
No, I mean, that was another one I looked at, and with 3 in the hook, I mean, maybe if it was 3 and you play for the wash, but I don't know, man. The 3.5 is just Washington. They've looked good the last 4 weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
you still don't know. I mean, they're still playing with a backup quarterback at the end of the day.
Would you go back to Wentz?
I personally know. I don't know how
Even
the locker room would feel about it. I feel like they're kind of in on Heineke at this point.
I think they rally behind the dude,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think he brings enough to make them dangerous, but
Yeah.
he's
He
obviously
doesn't.
not a franchise quarterback.
No, he's a high end backup though.
Yeah, for
He's a
sure.
high end backup.
I love it.
Yeah. Um, Raiders Broncos. If you bet that game, this is the honorary. If you bet that game, you need to go to Gamblers Anonymous meetings game. Don't bet the Raiders Broncos game. If you do, you're disgusting.
Yeah, I don't even watch it.
Let's see here. Lions Giants. I think that's perfectly priced at 3. I wanted to take the Bills Browns over, even though it might be in a snowstorm. It's only 41.5. It's a ballsy.
Yeah, it moved like 6 points, I think.
Because it's like all week. There's like a lake storm front, whatever those are called.
Yeah.
Warning.
Lake effect or
Yeah, lake effect. It's bad.
yeah. Oh man, 41.5. I kind of like the under in that one.
Even the under still, yeah, because I mean, like 20-17 gets you the under, so that's tough. And if it does actually snow, that under will cash.
That would be one I'd probably throw on a teaser.
Yeah,
I'd throw the tease it up 7 points or so.
you can tease the game total 7 points too.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, because you'd get it all the way up to like 48. 40, yeah, that definitely should hit if it snows. Here's the one. There's one. This is like the last one because this moved. It was at 4.5. It's down to 3.5. Bengals at Pittsburgh, but I don't like. Do the Bengals deserve Do the Bengals deserve a spot on the list, even though it's 3.5?
So
With Watt back.
Yeah, and that makes a huge difference too. I mean, the Steelers are a different team with that guy. I don't know. That's a tough one. Still no Jamar Chase, right?
Correct.
So,
They looked like, I get it. They played the Panthers, and then they had a bye. They played Cleveland in Cleveland, and they got killed. People just forget that. People want to rank them like one of the 5 best teams in the league. I don't know, man. Like, I want to believe in them, but we need to pump the brakes. Here's the one where I think we might hit. I wish this got up to 3.5, but it's at 3. Tanner Rowe, are we taking the points with the Bears on the road in Atlanta?
I like it.
Okay, give me your pitch. Pitch it to me, and we'll see if it lands.
If they continue to put up 30 points a game, I think that the 3 would be a beautiful number to take. This Atlanta offense isn't super high powered. If you can hold a team to just, I know it sounds like a lot with this defense, but if you could hold a team to just 3 touchdowns, I feel like that could be a layup with this offense, the way they've been rolling. You go into a dome, you got no conditions to worry about. I think that they are due for one, right?
Like to win?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be real. I know we talk about wins and losses not matter, and I said this the other day. I don't think they got screwed, but they had 11 points kind of ripped away. They would have scored a touchdown on the first drive. They would have had first and goal at the 4, but they had a horrendous holding call. I was watching the all 22. Like I watched every play of the Bears offense on the all 22. That holding penalty they called in the first drive, where? Like, it's so bad. You know, and they got behind the sticks and they had to kick a field goal. And I do think this, if they don't call that play where Sanborn gets the pick, they probably win like 27-17 or 31 something. Like they win by 2 scores.
Right.
Because they would have probably went down and at least got 3 more. And then from there, the game's over. From there, it's the fourth quarter and the Lions are just chasing. And the only way the Lions come back is if it's an onside kick situation.
Yeah.
So
kick or turnover. But yeah, I think I still don't love this Atlanta team. I think Cordero Patterson might be banged up a little bit. He didn't really do anything in that Thursday night game at Carolina. I know the weather was awful, but Carolina had no issue running the football in that game. So I just think that, and I know this Atlanta team can throw a lot at you. I think they are going to have probably a solid day on the ground. I'm not necessarily terrified of Marcus Mariota throwing the football.
Could be his last start.
Yeah, and that too.
If the Bears win this game and they make Atlanta look like, if the Bears jump out early and then the Bears can get out to a 10-0 lead, and then Atlanta's can't run the ball. They're gonna have to throw, and they don't look good. Desmond Ridder will be the starting quarterback by next week.
And
he just will be.
That would be something too to keep an eye on if they were to make a decision like that mid-game. You know how tough that is for NFL defenses when they get a new quarterback in the game. Usually those guys thrive with no preparation. So,
yeah, weirdly enough, that would be kind of the ultimate swerve. Ridder comes in, kind of how like Foles came in when they were down a couple of years ago. That'd be a shitty way to lose this bet. But screw it, we're doing it. Bears +3.
I like it.
Hopefully that line can move in our favor, but I doubt it. Who cares? I'm feeling good. We're locking that in at 3.
Like we've said, score 30 points and lose every game, but I just think eventually they're going to win a couple of these ones.
Yeah, I still feel good about the under 6.5 that I had at the beginning of the year, but I think they can get to 5. They can probably get to 5 or 6. They'll get Detroit when they play them again. They're going to beat Green Bay, I think. I don't think Green Bay's back. Huh?
We'll see.
Unless
I'll believe it when I see it.
That is true. It is why I'm a little nervous to put anything on tomorrow, though we don't normally put anything on the Thursday game. Real quick before we get out of here, do you have a feel for that? It's Packers -3. That's the right side if Watson could be legit, and I felt that all year, like he could be. Maybe they turned a corner, but I don't know. Tennessee's defense is really good, and if Tannehill does play and they get Henry going, that's a nasty, it's a bad matchup for Green Bay. So Sunday was rainbows and blossoms, but by the end of the night tomorrow, it could be 20 to 10 Tennessee, and Henry has a $190, and we're just like, well, shit, that was fun while it lasted. And the Packers are 4-7.
Yeah, I've been torn on this one all week. I want to lean the Packers, but I've been kind of burned by that a few times this year. And this Tennessee team, I mean, every time they go into a game like this, nobody gives them a shot. Even the Kansas City game, they could have won that game.
Yeah.
And they go into Green Bay now. I'm sure the public's going to be in favor of the Packers on this one, I would think. And this is the type of game where Vrabel and his guys go in there, they punch you in the mouth for 4 quarters, and it's a Packers run defense that we've seen get exposed in the past. But this Titans defense, I mean, they can cover. They're nasty up front.
They're disgusting.
If they can limit the Packers, the only thing that scares me with this Tennessee team is what they can bring on the offensive side of the football. I don't know if they can put up enough points, but if you get into a dogfight with them, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to walk out of there pretty wounded.
Yeah, it'll be big. If can Tennessee make Green Bay chase? Dallas did, but Dallas made back-breaking mistakes. Tennessee won't make those back-breaking mistakes that Green Bay did.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think they're so well coached. I mean, they don't have a bunch of guys that you recognize on their roster, but they just go out there every week and fight. But I think if I had to pick a side on this one, I got to go with the Packers at home with the 3.
Yeah. All right, man. We did good. We did great, I think. So real quick to recap, Tanner's lines, TCU -2.5, Kansas +9.5, Michigan -17.5, UConn +10.5, the greatest. That's just the greatest pick. And then Cowboys -1.5, Chiefs -5.5, Mac, 2 overs, UNC and Georgia Tech over 62.5, TCU and Baylor over 57.5. Then Kansas with in agreement with Tanner plus 9.5. Rams plus 4.5. Jets plus 3.5. Vikings plus 1.5. And for me, Kentucky and Georgia under 49.5. Then the Vols, we're laying them, baby, minus 21.5. UCLA plus 2.5 in the battle for LA. And then the NFL, Eagles minus 6.5. Vikings plus 1.5. Sorry, Tanner. And the Bears plus 3 in collaboration.
Bear down.
Bear fucking down. Let's go. Mr. Rowe, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know, my friend.
Hey, if I go 1-5 this week and that UConn's the only hit, I'll take it.
It'd be exactly. It'll just be glorious. All right. That's Tanner Rowe. Yeah, that's Tanner Rowe. Thank you for all who watched on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We love you all. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast. As always, if you don't got your game, this is Tanner Roseline, by the way. If you ain't got your game, you best pass the sticks. Yes, we will see you next time. Until then, we're out. See you guys Sunday. Yeah, we'll see you Sunday. Peace.
Thanks, man.